So today I would actually be covering on the order management and the merchant tools. So the agenda for today's training session is going to be overview and features of the Anywhere Commerce and deep dive into merchant tools and the order management system. And then eventually the omni-channel commerce and how do we actually achieve the omni-channel with the features that we have in Anywhere. Moving on to the introduction. So I know that in case if you guys have actually attended yesterday's training session. So Anywhere Commerce is basically an end-to-end commerce that we have, which can be divided into 4 sections. So we have our own platform, which is the Anywhere Commerce platform. And on this, you have the storefronts, you have PWAs integrated, you also have mobile apps and every other thing, which is also including our OMS and merchant tools. And further, the next block is the e-commerce services. This is basically the UI activities or the catalog services that we provide to the to the brands or to the merchants. So this is basically the delivery part of it. And the next section of it is the account or the e-commerce strategy and support that we have, which is basically the account management that we have, who would deep dive into the brand's insights and give actionable items so that the business could actually improve, and at the same time trying to integrate with a lot of third parties on how to achieve those. And along with that, we also have a 24/7 support channel that we have. That's another thing. And further, with all these things, we also are integrated with a lot of third parties, which includes payment gateway and logistics, which is the core part of the e-commerce. So there are few known brands that are actually listed here. So you name those logistics, and then we would have those logistics and payment gateways integrated. And this could be different to every particular brand, may not be the same. So these are the basic, I would say, understanding of what e-commerce is all about. And so just to add to this introduction, right? So I'm pretty sure that most of you would have made some kind of a purchase online. It could be either on Flipkart or Amazon or any marketplaces. So they are called marketplaces. Or it could also be on a brand website, which could be, let's say, you go to biba.com. That's actually a brand website. Or it could be Pizza Hut, which is again their own brand. This own brand websites or even the marketplace is all something that we provide as a solution, which is the end-to-end commerce or the e-commerce. Okay. So moving on to the features. So this features again are for the ACP. Again, here we have everything listed, which is the order management, the merchant tools, and also the consumer journey. So the consumer journey is something that was discussed yesterday. So the ones that are highlighted today, I mean, the highlighted in green are the ones which would be covered today. So the very first feature, which is the catalog management. So let's say when you, and this is also a core of any e-commerce setup that you have. So let's say if you have, or if you are planning to set up an e-commerce, or if you want to go online with any products that you have, or any physical or digital product that you have and you want to sell that, the very first thing that you would have to do is cataloging or merchandising that particular product. So Capillary actually provides you with that features on how you can go ahead and do that, or that catalog management within ACP. So I'll just take you through that process. And this is one of the core, I would say, features, because it is this product eventually which is displayed to the customer at the end and making purchase of it. So it could be a digital instance that is displayed, but eventually it turns out to be the physical product, because it almost represents all the attributes and features of a physical product on a digital platform. So let me just dive into what is catalog management and how a product is actually created, either physical product or a digital product, anything. So let me just start this presentation and then get on to, okay, so this is the control panel. This was something that you would have seen in yesterday's training session. And in case if you guys have any questions on how to actually log in, and that is a support link that's attached to this presentation. So you can always go ahead and check that link on how you can actually log in. So this is the very first page that you would actually land into when you log in, which is the dashboard. And on the left, you have the navigation menu. So this is basically the menu or the modules or features which are clubbed into the menu here. So you can see it's the dashboard setup, orders and leads, and then products, then design, then marketing, settings, and then customer. And then if there is any third-party applications that you would have to integrate, that's a part of this. So here for catalog management, we would actually be going to the products. So again, this particular product section is sorted in such a way that whichever is the primary setup that would be actually required, it's based on that. So which is the very first thing that you would have to set up during the product creation. It is in that sequence, if you actually see here. So let me get into this first thing. So which is the category management. So when you have a particular physical product, or it could be a digital product, they would actually belong to a particular category. Let's say if you have a t-shirt. So a t-shirt can actually be a part of men or women, or it could further have clothing and then men or women. So that's basically a category on where they belong to, or which category that they belong to. So here, when you get into the category management, you can actually go ahead and define the hierarchy of those. So just for an example, if you actually see, this is a test site that I'm actually accessing. So in this test site, this is again an apparel site. So if you actually see, girls is the top level, and then you have something which is mix and match, which is the other category that's part of it, and then you have the other leaf level categories, which is dresses or palazzo skirts or anything. So this becomes a leaf level category where products are listed under these leaf level categories. So if you have any questions in this, you can always ping or ask unmute on any time. So here it is a 3-level hierarchy that you actually see here, which is under girls you have mix and match, and under mix and match you have dresses and other subcategories. So if you actually go ahead and see this in the website, you would have 1 second, let me see. This is anyways a test site, so please ignore on how it is actually displaying. So if you actually see now, girls is the main category there, and under that it's a mix and match, and within mix and match you have the other subcategories here, and the products are actually listed under these subcategories. Hope you guys understood what is the category management, and this is the very first step in creating a product. There are other steps, again, I'll actually take you through that, but when you're actually creating a product, you just have to ensure that the basic hierarchy or the taxonomy is something which is defined, so that you can sort all your products, which is either digital or the physical product, into the respective categories. So moving on to the next one, the next thing during the product creation is also ensuring that you have a brand. So again, a particular brand could have its own brand products listed, Or let's say if it's a kind of a marketplace where you will have a different set of brands participating, and in those scenarios you would have to go ahead and define these brands, which all brands are going to participate or would be listed in your website. It could be your website, it could be your mobile app, or it could be anything, or even a marketplace. So defining these brands is also something which is important during the step, and this is something which is a mandatory flow. So there are a few brands which are already existing, and in case if there are these brands or the new brands that are not there, then you can still go ahead and create those brands and add those. So these are basically the brand names that you see here. You can go ahead and add a new brand. I mean, that would be just the custom brand that you would add. And the process of doing all these things, again, if you want to know in detail about how these brands are actually helping you, you can always check the support portal that we have, which actually has all the details on where all you can actually use this brand as a filter and display products. And there are many things that you can actually do with this. And these are something which are repository brands, which are something which is already predefined in our data our database. So again, so now you have a category that is created, and you also have brands that you have defined. And the next thing is going to be the variants, or let's say it is the variants of your product that you define. So this variants could be just colors, or it could be the sizes. It could be any variants. So basically, a particular, let's say a physical product that you have, and let's say for this, you have a t-shirt, you're selling some t-shirts and you want to list. So you have created the category and you have created your own brand name there. And now for that particular t-shirt, you would have to define variants. So you would be selling it in extra large, medium, small, whatever it is. So you can define those sizes. And let's say in this t-shirts again, you would have colors also. The colors could be any color, a random color. You have red, blue, green, and a mix of colors also in just one t-shirt. Or it could be just some any other multicolor t-shirts that you would have. So when you're having such varieties of variants with you, it is also important for you to go ahead and define those variants upfront. So that's basically, again, sorting on the products that you are going to sell online.
So Bharat, do we have any limit on the variant, or have we ever crossed the limit for any client, and what have you done if there is a limit?
Variants, I've not seen any greater limits that have been exceeded. I mean, when you say variants, are you talking about, let's say, extra small, those variants?
Like the properties of the product, like if they are like 10, 15 types of properties, color, size, like that, based on the business. Do we support those many levels?
Yes, we do. We do support those many levels. So example is A6. So A6 has different shoes. They also, I mean, different colors of shoes, and they also have sizes, and there is a standard also that's there. So that's basically width is also that is defined in shoes.
Okay.
So there are color, size, width, which is 3 levels of properties that are being used. So, and they have further, I mean, it's every color would have its own width and sizes defined. So I've not seen any kind of a limitations as such till now. I mean, you can certainly add as many as you can, but 3 is what we would suggest. So 3 different types of variant properties is what you can define per product, which is color, and in this case for A6, color, size, and then you have the width.
And it can be dynamic also, like for every product catalog, if the merchant is selling shoes as well as some F&B product,
yes,
it can be dynamic also, right?
Yeah, it can be dynamic.
Okay.
but whatever it is, so first thing is you have to define those things here. So it can be dynamic on the product page, but let's say if you are going to use those, let's say extra large, small sizes is something that you define here, and the values is also something that you define here, that you would be picking only from these values. And in the product, you can actually dynamically add, let's say a particular color doesn't have a size, or let's say it doesn't actually participate in width. So width is something which is free. You don't have to define any width there. So those can also be achieved, but the primary thing is that these values have to be defined here in the first place.
And we can change it also in the future.
Yes, you can go ahead and change. That's also there. And along with that, you also can go ahead and add swatch images. So that's basically, let's say if it is red, right? So some of the brands might actually want the color red to be displayed rather than the text red. So those are also something which can be done or achieved in this. Okay, moving on to the next one. So here again, there is one thing that I've actually missed, which is the product tags. And this product tags, I will take you through that later. But again, there are certain predefined product tags, which again is not a mandatory step for product creation, but it is always good to have kind of a feature, but it all depends on how you utilize these. So these product tags are basically a kind of a filter that you apply on the product. So you are actually segregating certain set of products, could be for a new arrival or bestseller sections, or it could be for a sale products. So basically running a filter beyond the categories. So it need not be from just one particular category. It can be from any category. You just have to, you just define a particular product tag and then map those products to them. I'll just take you through that flow in the next step in the further discussion. So until now, I am assuming that there are no questions. So moving on to the next one. The next step is the actual product creation. So this is where you go ahead and define or create a particular product now. So here you define a physical product or a digital product or anything. So I'll just take you through what all options that are available with us, and the basic information. So whatever we have created is all something which we'll actually see them now. So there are 4 different types of products that you can actually create in Anywhere Commerce. One is straightforward, a physical product. The other one is a digital product. We call them as a downloadable product here. And the second one, which is a time-bound deal. These are the products where, let's say, if you have certain promotions, or let's say if it's a pre-sale that you're going to set up on your website, or let's say Apple is actually going to launch iPhone 13, and that is a token amount that they would have to pay initially to book that. So those products are physically not available, but they are actually going to be for a specific time, and then after that the remaining amount would be actually captured and the product would be shipped. So those set of products is something which is defined here as a time-bound deal. And the next thing is going to be a bundled product. So bundled products is a combination of physical product. So you would have multiple physical products added to create a bundle. An example for this would be, a simple example for this would be, I would say, Pizza Hut. So let's say a pizza that you would actually order. So pizza base is something that is one particular product of its own, because the base could be anything. It could be cheese crust or thin crust or anything, right? And then further to that, you have toppings. So each and every topping is a product of its own. So you add toppings, and then eventually you also define the size of these pizzas, which could be half and half pizzas, or it could be 1 meter long pizzas. So these are again sizes in that pizza. These are variants anyways. But here you see that there are multiple physical products or multiple products that are actually coming together to create one particular bundle. And again, if I mean, there is another example. Let's say you have Prestige. So here, when you actually see online, there is a bundled product where you get pan, cooker, and then there is other products also clubbed together, and they create one particular product, and with certain discounts also given on that. And these are one kind. And let's say in FMCG, it could be also like you buy the onion, carrot, and the tomato could be just one bundle, or something which is for let's say for a breakfast. You actually create a recipe, and for that recipe, and these are the products that are actually required, then all that could be purchased as in one go as a bundle, or that person can individually go and add those products. They are individual products, but they can also be bundled. This is another example on how FMCG also takes that. And in fashions, again, it could be, let's say you have a t-shirt and then trouser, and those could actually go in bundle for a special price or something like that. So these are certain examples across different verticals, and they actually use bundle products. And that's basically the concept of bundle here. Okay. So moving on to
all these kind of products which we are defining, right? Everything can be uploaded through bulk uploads and all.
Yeah.
Bundle or time bound or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So I was about to cover that next. So
okay. Sure.
So whatever we actually define in a physical product, or whatever we do manually here, is something that's also available in bulk. So in case if it is just 1-2 products, you can always use the interface here, which is the interface that I'm actually showing you now. But let's say if you have more than 5 or 10 products, or even beyond that, you can always use bulk tool. So I'll just take you through that. I'll just define how the format is and all those things, but you can actually go ahead and play with it later. So coming back to the physical product or the creation of the product itself. So you see that the very first thing it's asking you is for the category. Which category does it actually belong to? And that is the reason why it was a mandatory field, and even the structure was also defined in the same way. So you define a category here, and then the brand of that. So this is how the categories that we have created would actually display. So if you see here, a product will only be mapped or linked to a leaf level categories. So let's say it was girls that we actually saw. So under girls, it was mix and match. And if you see, I can only map a particular product to a leaf level category. And this is what it means. And brand is something that is something that you can actually pick from the custom or the predefined. So based on the product that you're actually uploading, the brand is something that you would have to enter. And then you have the product name itself or the product title. And and this is another important thing where let's say if your product is just one physical product and it doesn't have any variants, so you don't actually check this. But in case if you have variants or different forms of that particular product, then you enable that setting. And this is at a product level. So every product can vary. So let's say a sari might not actually have different variants. It could be just unique product. So in those scenarios, you don't define them having variants. So that is about this particular feature. And then every product will have its own unique ID or number. We call it as SKUs. So every product would be having this unique number, which is something that you would have to enter here. But again, this is in case if you are having variants, then we define something as a parent here, and then the variants will have their own unique IDs, which is going to be the variant SKU IDs. And this could be alphanumeric. So there's no limitations as such. It has to be in numeric always. It can be alphanumeric with a special character also, which is hyphen, majorly used, hyphen or even a dot. Then you have the MRP defined, which is the actual cost of product. And the next thing is web price, which is in case if you are actually going to sell it at the same price, then you define the same price here, or it is not required. But let's say if you're actually going to have a different pricing on the website, let's say if a particular product is MRP is 100 rupees or $100, but on the website you want to show that as 100 and then it is discounted to $90 now. In those scenarios, you define 100 here. And then 90. So eventually this web price is what would be the actual cost of the product. And even during the checkout, this $90 is what would be charged to the customer. Then we have cost price, token price, delivery time. So these are all additional attributes for a particular product. So I will actually not take you or deep dive in all these configurations as such, but just take you through a few important configurations. Again, here, the payment options. So we have different kinds of payment options available, which is online and offline. So here, this credit card and I would say credit card is something which is online and rest of the things are offline, but cash on delivery is also considered as online. The reason being the payment is not done until the items are delivered. So eventually you would have to go ahead and process these items, and hence it's actually a part of the online checkout or the online payment gateway. Further, the delivery options. So these delivery options are basically how you would want to service this particular product. You want to ship it, or you want to take care of it offline, or you online is basically for those digital products where you don't ship it, but you send or deliver those goods online, either through an email or SMS, any of these forms, which need not have a physical presence, and shipment is actually not required for those products. So the journey for these particular purchases online would also vary. Let's say if it is a ship that is enabled for a product, and then customer would be asked for shipping address and all those details, shipping and billing. And offline would also be something similar. You would still capture all those details, but let's say when it's online, it would not ask you for the shipping address. Reason, you're not shipping any products to the customer. Whatever information that you actually get in the billing is enough, where it has the billing email and the phone number. So things would actually be delivered either email or on SMS. So that's something which doesn't require a shipment capture or shipping address capture during the checkout. And then we have in-store. So here, this in-store, again, the journey would be where you actually enter the billing address, but need not enter the shipping address, but you would eventually be selecting which store you would actually be picking up the item from. So the journey again here would vary. So the product is still the same, but the journey of making a purchase of this particular product might vary based on these configurations that you have.
Bharat, hey Aman, two questions.
Yeah.
One is there any provision for prioritization of delivery of products? And second one is, based on payment types, does any prioritization happens? For example, if I select a COD versus a credit card, does it change the delivery prioritization?
It doesn't actually change any processing, or there is no prioritization as such that we define here. But let's say if a business is actually asking for such things, so we also have something to filter the orders. So I'll anyways cover that. But as a question came in now, so we can divide these particular orders based on the payments that have been made. And in case if you want to allocate different I would say fulfillments for different payment gateways that you have, then that is also something that can be achieved. But again, we don't force any prioritizations based on the payment gateways or the payments that we have received. So cash and delivery, or even if it's a credit card, all are orders end of the day for us. But if the business is actually looking at that as a different perspective, and they would want to actually fulfill the cash and delivery first, and then the credit card first and the cash and delivery later, that's also something that they can actually do.
Got it. Thank you.
And in case if you're actually asking about, let's say, a prioritization of these particular products to display in a category page, which is something that was actually told in yesterday's discussion. So that's also something that's actually available. So we actually go ahead and define the catalog ranking here during the product creation itself. This need not be this need not be from this panel itself. You can also do a bulk upload for those. And I'll anyways take you through that in the coming steps in the product creation itself. Okay, so moving on, further, you have this particular product now, and it's available, and you would want certain images also to be displayed. So you can define just one image or no image, or you can have 5 to 6 images or additional images as much as you can, but there is again a limit for that. So here in this process, you actually go ahead and select an image. So this is a default or a first image that you would actually select here. But if you see here on the right side, we have additional tab here, which is for the images. So there again, we define all the images of a product there. In case if you don't do it here, it is still fine. You could still do that in the further steps. Then the next thing is the shipping itself. So every product can have a different shipping cost associated or mapped to it. So you can go ahead and map these particular shipping profiles here for a product. And it is mandatory for you to actually go ahead and add some kind of a shipping information. Else that particular product, you will not be able to do any kind of a checkout. So if a shipping profile is missing in any product, then you would not be able to do a checkout, because the shipping calculations is actually done during the checkout process itself. And in case if you are missing any of these mapping, then there is no way that a calculation could be done, and you would not be able to do any checkouts. So I'm just adding shipping profile here and then moving on. Okay, that's anyways, I haven't defined. Okay. Let me do one thing. It's easy to actually pick a product. So while I'm actually searching for a product, let me just take you through this screen also. This is a screen where you actually go ahead and search for a particular SKU of a particular product. In case if you have the SKU number, you can directly type that SKU number here. Or if you have the product title, you can just type that product title, and whatever is matching to that product title will display. And in case if you want a particular category of products to be displayed or searched, then you can always select any of these, and then you can do a go here. So you have a lot of options available here, or you can do filters based on the product status, which is active or inactive, or brands that you have defined, or even the product tags and locations, and then groups. So for now, what I'll do is, let me just pick a test product so that I can actually, okay. I think I selected the category. Okay. So I'm just doing a search for a particular product with a title test. So which all matches something which displays here, and I can export these particular products into an Excel or PDF. And I can also do other actions on the top, which is to basically add a product tags, which is like your bestseller, or so if you see here, best deals and other things is something that will display here. And in case if you want to also map it to, or if you want to group products, that's also something that you can do from here. Okay. Okay, fine. Then let me just apply this. Okay. This is applied. So I'll just pick one product here so that I can actually take you through what all are actually defined. Okay. So the basic information is something that we've covered. Now I'm just moving on to the additional information, where in this additional information, you actually define the additional attributes like the barcode or the HSN numbers, or it could be anything. Any additional information that you have for the product is something that can be added here, including your taxing information for the particular product. Then you have the unit of measurement. And this is something which is key here, which is the search engine optimization or the SEO part. So SEO is also something that I'm going to cover again next, but this is one of the important one. So every product, you go ahead and define the SEO aspect, the product title, the keyword description, URL, and all these things. So this information is actually being fetched by the search engines to crawl, and then they keep a repository of these, and the rankings of these products is something that would be decided based on those keywords or any of that sort that is done. This is at a product level. So defining it, or let's say getting products from a product level, is something which is going to take in time, but maybe at a category level is something that is faster. So products, you can always define the SEO aspect here. And it is important in case of, we would recommend this to be done for all the products, but there could be certain brands which would not have all these information. But for them, it's again not a mandatory thing, but it's always good to have feature to get organic traffics.
What is this URL key rewriter?
Okay, so further to this, URL key rewriter is, so you have a particular product and there is a URL that is generated. We have this option of shortening those URLs.
Okay.
For that, we use this. But by default, it generates on its own. But in case if you want to override those, then this is the feature that we actually use. Okay. The search engine actually crawls this. So the very first thing is you define
into SEO. No, then you can basically explain.
So I was actually explaining the SEO part now. So and then moving on to the next part of it. So SEO. So the very first thing is you would have some kind of an account in the search engine. So here it could be Google search engine. So over there, you just have to go ahead and submit your sitemap XML. So this sitemap XML is nothing but it contains all your websites links, which is categories, products, and even a static pages like about us and all those pages. So this is something that you submit to Google, and Google will actually crawl all these pages and start indexing those pages. And when they are actually crawling all the product pages, again, whatever information that you are actually defining here is something that gets indexed. And so it is important for you to define those details appropriately here. And in case if anyone has any kind of a question regarding the Google search consoles, or how do we actually do all these aspects, then you can actually ping me and I'll be able to help you with that.
Hey, hi Bharat, it's Abhay. So is it we have to manually fill all these things, title, tags, description, or it's the kind of we can automate it also?
So as I was telling you, we also have bulk options. So it need not be always manually entered here. So for products, you can always have the bulk upload. So as you've asked, there is
No,
bulk tools that is there.
No, yeah, that I know, but here can't we just automate it? Just take the title from the page title, or maybe the whatever in the page in the title is mentioned directly take from there. And if you want, you can add certain parameters like colors or maybe the brand name and all. Because see, yeah.
I get that. So automating this, certain brands would actually want it in a different way. Not everyone would actually want it in an automated way, by adding variants and all those aspects into a title and all those. So this is the reason why you have that flexibility of updating those information in the Excel and uploading it. So in Excel, it's again simple formulas that you have to apply for a particular brand, and it's a one-time activity that you do. So it could be product title with variants clubbed or concatenated and all those things, and then you can just upload it. You can just do a partial upload also. That's also something which is there. But automating is something which actually might not make sense for every brand.
But see, we are in e-commerce, particularly for the product pages and all, when the number of products goes to 300, 400 plus, it's not possible to manually write it, and no one prefers to write it.
So you don't have to manually write, right? So what I'm saying is, you have the product titles defined. So the customer gives you the product titles, the description, all those details. So that particular merchandising factor is already shared. So let's say if it's a enterprise brand, you don't have to even worry about all these things. They would already have all these information provided. And for a medium or a small brands, what is a suggestion that you guys can actually give is, you can actually take the product title, the product description, and all those things and map it to these fields, because these are again different columns in the bulk upload. So it's easy for you to go ahead and just map these in that Excel itself and then upload it. It is just not 300. You can actually do 10,000 or in number. I mean, I would say 10 or 20,000, whatever products that you have. Also, I'm just moving on to the next one. So we also have time-bound activation, deactivation of the product. So you can actually activate certain products for a certain time. It could be, let's say you are running a promotion, and you would want that to be active for, let's say, during the midnight, and then by 6 o'clock you would want to deactivate it early morning. So those kind of promotions or activation or deactivation is also something which is available at a product level. So the next one is the tax information. So this is again, this follows the GST taxation, or it could be a VAT or any of that. So we have configurations that is available, which is a tax setup here. So you can actually go ahead and set up your tax here. And this is again not mandatory, but it's a good to have. And if brands actually wants to actually go do a tax setup here, then we always have that particular feature available. Then I'll just quickly jump into the next tabs that are available. So attributes. So the attributes are nothing but the additional properties of a particular product. So let's say you have a t-shirt. Now, what kind of a t-shirt it is? Is it what material was actually used? And in case if there is some kind of additional description, let's say you have certain wordings on those t-shirts, and if you want that to be actually a part of it, or the color of those wordings is also something which is an attribute. Or it could be even the wash care. That's also something that we can certainly add here, if it is a different variety or different material. So such things are something which you can actually go ahead and define here in the attributes. And this is again available in bulk. And the next thing is the images itself. So as I was telling you, we also have a section where you can add multiple images. So this is the place where you actually go ahead and browse and add those images here. So even before you could actually use these images, you would have to first upload those images into the file manager. So this is a place where you actually find file manager. So this is as good as you uploading images into a FTP kind of a thing. So these images are uploaded here, and then you basically go ahead and browse, and you actually see, you actually see all these images that are available in the file manager. So you just select those and then update it. And finally, moving on to the locations itself. So there could be brands which has more than a single location participating in this. So this is basically where the stock is actually being managed. So you can have multiple locations where the stocks could be rendered or fulfilled from. So this is how it would actually display. So if the locations don't have any stocks, it is either 0 or NA. But if they do have stocks, then you can actually see it would have a number associated to it. And at any time, if there needs to be a update that you would want to do manually for a particular location, here is what you would actually come, make changes to that inventory, and then you save those changes. Okay, so I will move on to the next one. So if you actually see, we have covered the catalog management and the SEO, and the price engine is something that we'll cover now. So the price engine is nothing but you would have different pricing for different consumers, or it could be for different locations. So how do we achieve that? Is something that's available here, which is managed price list. So here, let's say you have different cost or pricing for a product across different regions. Let's say in India, you would have the same product listed for 100 rupees, but let's say in Singapore, that could be $50. So that could be a conversion, or that could be a straightforward pricing that could happen. So whenever there is a straightforward pricing which is happening with your own conversion factor, you define that amount directly. So it need not be 50, it could be $100 also. And for different regions, again, let's say in US, the same product could actually be, let's say $70. So when you have different pricing across different locations, then this is where you would actually go ahead and define. And this is also something that we support. And again, in case if you also, let's say you want certain internal employees to also have different costing mapped to certain products, that's also something which is achievable. And that we do using customer segmentations. So the customer segmentation is something which is available here, where you define based on the profile attributes, the customer profile attributes. You can segregate those. Let me just take it through that. You can segregate those customers and basically run a promotion for them with a discounted price. But that's under promotion, but it need not be always price engine. I'll just take you what all options are available in this. So these are all what are actually available for filtering out those customers. So again, all these are available in the help article. So you can actually get into that and then do a lot of research on that, on how you can actually segregate the customers. Any questions in this price engine or promotion or customer segmentations that we have?
Bharat, do you have the option for tiered pricing? Like if someone purchases one, there is no discounts, purchases two, 5%, purchases three, 7%, purchases four, 10%.
So we have that. So that's actually under promotions. So that's a cart promotion.
No,
so
it's
that was
not for the cart at the product level.
at the product level, yes. So at the product level, you can actually run for products as well. So let's say a particular product is actually $100, and if you buy two, you might actually get that 10% discount. If you buy three, it could be 20% discount.
Yeah.
That's the same thing as a part of the card promotion, where it also applies at a product level. So brands like BBW, Bath Body Works, is something which is using this promotion. So that's something which is already available. And I think this was covered yesterday itself in that training session. In case if you want to know more about how this is configured, you can either reach out to me or Rahul. We'll help you on how that is done. But that's something which is available.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm moving on to the next one, which is the basic configurations and settings that we have. So this is something which could be merchant specific, need not be same across. So these configurations, I'll just take you through. This could be your tax setup, or this could be your payment gateway or logistics configuration, or it could be even a CRM configuration. So we also integrate with CRM, where the registrations, the customer data, and also the transaction data is actually flowing along with the promotions. So that is a sync with CRM in all these aspects. And then you also have login with Facebook or Google, which is the social logins. And that's also something which you configure here. That's also something I'll just take you through those settings. And also certain communications that you can actually configure here, like your SMTP and emails. So the first thing is I've actually showed you how the tax is actually set up. So the taxation is something which can be defined at a single percentage across all the products, or it could be multiple percentages. Like in India, you have different categories and different pricing or different taxation that is applied. So those are also something that you can actually achieve with the proportionate values. That's available here. And then you also have the checkout options, which is basically the online checkout options, which requires a configuration. So you get a key from the payment gateway, and those keys are something that you enter here in the online checkout options. So these are some of the payment gateways that are integrated. Again, you would only see those payment gateways which would be valid for your currency. So anything which is beyond your currency wouldn't be seeing those checkout options here or the payment gateways here. And offline payments are something that you define on your own. So it could be your online bank transfer, check DD, or any custom checkout options. So you can also define if all such orders which come through offline payment gateways should be going into pending status, or it has to be automatically authorized where the fulfillment can happen. Okay, so moving on to the next one. This is about email templates. Let me just take you through new one. So this is again a place where you would go ahead and configure your communications. So there are predefined templates that are available, or you can actually go ahead and alter them specific to the brands. So this could again be just SMS or emails. So you can define if the communication type is going to be email or SMS, and define even the content of it. So just will take you through that. So it's either SMS or email. And then these are all the events that are available for you to configure the communication. So you would enter the template here. It's again a HTML driven template. So okay, I'll just take you through the logistics configuration now. So again, the logistics is something you would configure here, and this could have a predefined, I mean, there are a list of logistics that we are already integrated. You can certainly configure those, or in case if there is any new logistics, then integration is done, and post that you would be able to consume those or configure that logistics. So again, here it's again straightforward. You get the keys from the logistics, and then you just configure those here. A simple one, I'll just show you on how it actually looks. So it's just this basic information. You get some keys or license keys, and then you're just done. Okay. Then I'll also show you through how the CRM configurations are done. So CRM configurations are part of the app here. So here, this is the till ID that you that you get from the CRM team, and the password in the MD5 form, and then the other basic information about the cluster and all those. And then these are some of the other configurations that you have, which is basically to skip OTP, enable registration, and all those. And then if you want to push the orders to CRM, then this is enabled. And again, you can define if it is during the order creation itself, you want to push this, or is it after the order creation you would want to push? That's something which is available. Or I'm sorry, after the order is delivered, if you want to push that particular order, then you would enable this. Again, we can also define custom attributes in case if there is some attributes that is defined and that has to be synced here again in e-commerce, then those are done. Those are also something that can be done here, and that's available.
Can we integrate other third-party CRMs, or it's only the Capillary CRM?
As of now, it's Capillary CRM. Third-party CRMs is something which is again an integration, so that has to be evaluated and should actually review if there is any specific business requirement for those and beyond our CRM. And then
so basically, Bharat, one thing I wanted to say here, see, Capillary is auto-integrated. I mean, it's already available, but the third party we do, aisa nahi ki we don't do. That is like a situation to situation, depend upon customer, what is there. And it is a integration which will be done based on the requirement and what deal we have with customer. For example, for Levi's, we are doing third party integrations. Third party CRM integration. So capability is there. I mean, but it will have to be built. I mean, based on the CRM, then the third party CRM, their APIs and everything.
That's about the, okay, there's one more thing. Yeah, social. So this social networking integration is nothing but your login with Facebook, login with Google. Those are something that can be configured here. So you get those keys, and then you just basically go ahead and configure it here. And this need not be just with the login. It could also be with share and other aspects as well. So that's the reason we also have Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, and Apple. So done with the configurations and setting. I'll just move on to the next topic, which is the store setup. Store setup is basically a location for us. So that's, let's say you have a warehouse and you have stores also. And in those cases, every store is something which is a location for us. And all these locations can participate in fulfillment, or it can be just stock, or it could be something which is just a pickup point or something. But either ways, you still would want to create those locations. So the way you would actually go ahead and create those locations is available here under locations. And then there are, let me just pick one. And there are most of the information that a location would have already available. So you can just go ahead and enter those information. So you have the location name, address, details, the lat long. So this lat long actually plays a key role in the other aspects. I'll just take you through that in the order management. And then the basic information on when the store this is basically the setting which is key here. So the very first thing is to enable this particular location, to activate this location. And this location will work as a delivery center. This is basically to display that this is also one of the fulfillment center. And all these things, other things, is something which you can already read here. And in case of you have any questions in this on what to enable and what not to enable, you always have this help link or the article available. You can always go through it before you could enable these. And the other thing is the open close timings of a store. And then a geofencing. So you basically add coordinates on the proximity of the store itself. So if the store is actually delivering to a certain extent, so then you would actually define the proximity of that particular store. And that is done using this geofencing. This is one way, but we also have another way, which is through the delivery areas. That's another way to get that done. But this is defining a geofencing using Google coordinates, the latitude and longitude thing. So the other way, as I was telling you, the proximity of that can also be defined using a simple delivery area mapping. So here you have, so delivery area is, again, you define it at a country level, state level, city level, or it could be at a pin code level. So these are all something which is manually mapped. You create a delivery area and then you map it to a location. So this is another way of defining the proximity of the location. And the next thing is the currency mapping. So as I was telling you, India is one particular location which has a different pricing, let's say 100 rupees. And if it is Singapore, then you have $100 there, and US could be another $100. But at these different locations, you might actually want a specific currency also to be mentioned there, right? So that is done here. So every location, let's say if it's an India location, then you would have INR. If it's a Singapore, then you have a Singapore dollar. And if it's a US, then it's a USD. So those currencies are something that you define for a particular location here. And the next thing is user details. So this user details is nothing but people who actually have access to this particular location. So when I say access, so that could be different roles played by different people. It could be just the updation of, let's say, products for this particular location, or it could be processing or fulfilling the items for just this location. So people who are actually having access to this location would actually be displayed here, or I would say here in basic information, the bottom, you actually see that information. So list of users who have access to this location. So in case if there is any changes that has to be done, these users will actually take that control and they make those changes. And finally, the store availability. So the store availability is defining or enabling or disabling for home delivery, takeaway, and then pickup points. So this is straightforward. You just enable it. If you want to close it, disable it, it's just close. And you can also define a reason why you're actually changing those status. So as of now, it's just a couple of reasons. But yeah, we can still do that. Okay, so moving on to the last topic here in merchant tools, which is the customers. So customers or the customers here, let me just, customer self-service is again, so once you have all the customers registered, and if you want to actually see how the customers or how many orders the customers has actually placed, or let's say if the customer is actually stuck and his account is logged out or locked, in those scenarios, how do you actually go ahead and access their account and then ensure that you unlock that account or help them reset the password and all those steps? So I'll just take you through that particular module. So this is basically useful for customer service team or the customer support team who would receive a lot of calls from the customers. So the very first thing in customers is the member profile, where it displays or lists out the complete information of the customer. So while this is actually loading, I'll just let you know that whatever we have actually done until now is also available in APIs. So in case if there are any third parties who would want to integrate and they don't want to actually use this interface, there is always APIs that are available for any kind of changes that we've actually spoken until now. So everything has the APIs for them. Okay, it's loaded. So this is how you would actually see a list of customers that are available here, and you would also get a count. Okay, there's anyways. So you would also know how many customers are actually registered, and the last login and the number of orders that they have placed. Let me just pick. So you can actually see this is basically the login ID and the name that is defined. And the address, the very first time when you register, if there is any address that you give, that's available here, or it would be your billing address after your first order that is placed. Then the alternate email address, mobile number, and what is the current status of this customer, is he active or is he inactive? Okay, and these are the custom attributes that you see here. This is profile attributes. So this is beyond the default attributes that are available on the top. So if there is any other additional attributes that the customers or the business is actually requiring, then those can also be defined. And these are the values that are mapped to those. So here you have the option to go edit it, delete the user, change the username, and deactivate the user. And you can also see the wish list items that he has actually added in his account. So there are certain guidelines that we actually say that please don't do this, which is basically to change the password or delete user or doing any edits to the profile itself. But this is an option that's actually available in case if you want to, if you have no other go, but it's always recommended that you actually allow the customer to go ahead and make changes to his account on his own. So moving on to the attribute profile. So whatever attributes that you actually saw there, which is custom attributes, is something that you can define here. And you can define it here, and the same thing can also be synced with CRM in case if the same profile attributes are also available there. So the sync is also something which is available. I'll just show you how the profile attributes is. So this is how basic it is. You just create a profile attribute, and then values can vary to every customer. And then finally, the user groups. So by default, any customer who does a registration, you would actually go ahead and segregate them into a default user group. But if you actually remember the customer segmentation that we was talking about in the price engine, so we actually use a customer segmentation and filter those customers into a different group. So that group is something which is defined here. So this is basically just a group name that you give here, and using the customer segmentation, you actually pull all the customers and map it to this group, which could be further used for any kind of a promotion or anything else. where you would want to run filtered customer promotions, or it could be even in the UI if you want to have any kind of a changes for pages to be displayed only for them. So moving on to the last one, which is the order management. So this order management is a simple 8-step process that we have. So let's say if you have all these websites set up, or it could be an app that is already set up, and there are orders flowing in now. And what do you actually do in the backend so that the customer gets this particular order? The process that is actually after the order is placed until the customer receives, and even post the customer receives this product, is actually a part of the order management, which is the fulfillment process. So once the order is actually placed on the website or app or marketplace, any place, I would say, those orders will actually get synced into our order management system, and our order allocation rule is actually run. So you define order allocation rules, which is specific to, again, merchants or brands. And based on that allocation, it will actually flow to the respective locations. A simple one is, let's say if someone orders from India, let us assign those orders only to India. And if it is an order that's coming from Singapore, then it goes to Singapore. Or if it is something from US or outside from India or Singapore, it has to go to US, then that's also a configuration. That's kind of order allocation rule. There is a lot of options that are available there. I'll just take you through that, but this is how the allocation happens. And after the allocation happens, the items are basically picked and packed. And after that, you would go ahead and allocate logistics. And then those allocated logistics, you basically publish those labels on the packaging itself, and then it's handed over to the logistics. So if you see the picking, packing, which is the 4th step, and then shipping invoices are created, which is basically those AWB numbers and the invoices are created. And then you actually stick those things on the packaging itself, and it is actually handed over to the logistics guys, which is the order shipments are initiated, which is a step 6. And then after that, the logistics actually picks it up and it's in transit. And that's basically the 7th step. And then the 8th step is basically when the customer has this particular product in his hand, which is delivered. So post delivery, there are other options that are available, but a good or happy flow is this, where the order is actually placed until it's fulfilled. I'll quickly dive into those options that are available in our control panel. I'll just take you through those steps. So let me just take you through the order allocation first, because it becomes easy for you to actually understand other things later. So this is the order allocation. So this is how you actually go ahead and create order allocation. So you can define it to transfer to a store which actually has a lot of stock, then to the nearest common store, transfer to the common store. So nearest and the common is just that it actually checks for the distance, and then it allocates it to that particular store. And transfer to the common store is, it will actually see if all the items are actually fulfillable by a particular store. Then it will transfer to that particular store, common store. Here, the complete order is actually intact. It need not be at a item level. So here, allocations, okay, the complete order allocations are actually done at an item level, at a SKU level. So this particular rule, which is transfer to a common store, which will actually look for all the items and in the order, and will see which store can actually fulfill it. It will not check the nearest or which has a maximum. It will see if all the items in the order can be fulfilled by one location or not. And then the next thing is transfer to the nearest warehouse. Again, this is the items that it actually checks. This again is a common store, which will again look at the complete order and see if there is any nearest location which can actually fulfill all the items and also have stock with them. This is the additional check that can be done, which is stock available or if stock is there. And then transfer to a specific store, which is whatever orders that you actually get, just transfer it to a particular store. And this is for pickup stores. So in case if there are pickup orders that are there, and then for that you would want to run a location, that's also something which is available. So so whatever I've actually explained in that particular diagram, which is when the order is placed and the fulfillment cycle of all those 8 steps that we see there, is something which is available, I mean, which is actually in that sequence itself here. The authorized is when the orders are actually synced, and pick list is something where you're actually picking it, and book shipment is allocating logistics, and waiting for pickup. Well, let me just, so if you actually correlate with this diagram, these are the steps that are there. So waiting for pickup is where you actually have the labels or this AWB and the shipping labels printed, and then it is dispatched and then delivered. So there are other details which are there in between, which is post delivery. That could be customer returns, or even the logistics could also return where customer is not available. So those are also handled in the returns. So that's also something which is available here. And post returns, it could be a replacement that you can do or a refund. So those actions items are also something which we have as a feature. Okay, so with all these features and with the order management that you have actually seen, we would call ourselves as an omni-channel, because if you actually see, omni-channel is where you can receive orders from different sources, which could be a website, a mobile app, or a marketplace, or endless aisle, which is also a solution that we sell. So it could be from any source, and eventually these orders are actually getting synced in our order management system. So it's like any source, and it's one fulfillment software or location that we have. And then this again could be different locations where you have central warehouse, or it could be a store or a local warehouse. But all of these would actually be using our order management system itself, which is a unified tool that they have, and eventually delivering them home delivered or a pickup at store. So the overall journey or the process, if you actually see, it's an omni-channel. So it's just for different sources of orders that we have. So we would call ourselves as an omni-channel e-commerce solutions that we could actually present for the market, whoever is looking for it.
I think we should stress a minute here. I think this is one of the very key important point for us. Arun has also mentioned in chat. It's not easy to find such a integrated solution which is truly omnichannel delivery capabilities.
That's true. So I think the only piece that we might actually add in the future is the social commerce. But apart from that, I see everything is actually available now as a solution for any brand who would want to onboard this omni-channel. And during this pandemic time, it is really important that you actually try and get into those verticals where you haven't actually tried. It could be WhatsApp commerce also. It could be other sources where you get those orders and eventually have that single view of order fulfillment, which I'm not sure if any other, I would say, company is actually capable of doing such solutioning as of now.
Bharat, I'll take 2 minutes here, Bharat. Arun
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So for everyone, I mean, I would say when we talk about omni-channel, I think the easiest way to kind of define or explain what omni-channel is, having a single view of customer, having a single view of merchandise. When I talk about these two elements, it's about giving similar experiences in all channels of businesses, be it with a website, be it with a store, or be it be even marketplace. So with this entire stack that we have today, we can very well give that. Now, when I talk about single view of merchandise, the store, e-commerce, endless aisle, and marketplace, and then the central warehouse, store inventory, and local warehouse. I mean, all these two buckets can kind of, you can shop for any product lying anywhere in any channel. And that's the strength. And also you can deliver anywhere. For example, you can deliver at home or you can deliver at the store also. Now, when we talk about single view of customer, and that's where our CRM comes into play. And I would say in today's, market, you will hardly find a single brand or an organization which is giving you both the solutions, which enables you to do a single view of customer and the single view of merchandise. So that's our strength. That's it from my side. If anyone wants to have any questions, I'm happy to answer now.
Hi,
Hi.
you won't again.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, right? Instead of saying going omni-channel, I think with my experience with the client so far, I think it would be better if we use the word DTC, direct to channel.
Right.
I think that will be more, that will be more relevant to the customer. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Absolutely. So D2C is the keyword nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
I would say multi-channel was there a couple of years back. Then we had the omni-channel coming in. Now we have the D2C as the buzzword in the market. Absolutely, we can very well use that.
Yeah, yeah.